All right. Okay, so today is March 2nd, 2020. Finished my trading. Oh my gosh, this cough. Finished my trading. Took two trades today, one on Snap and one on Etsy. I, well, should I say I'm not very, I'll say that in how I rate my trades today, I'll probably say about 50%. I wasn't very happy with the way I traded uh, my tickets today. So what I decided to do differently today, which is different, is I changed my layout to only focus on fewer tickers. So I have only four tickers I'm looking at. This is the 1 minute chart on this on one page, and the other one's the 5 minute chart on the other page. And then what I also have is I have a mini watch list that has the other tickers that I would be looking at. So the first thing that I want to comment on is in terms of using supply and demand, I I marked out ES, the supply areas, and when the market opened, ES went into this area of supply. I noted this chop over here, so I assumed we would have a rejection over there. Right out of the block, Apple and the others, Tesla, all went down. So that kind of gave me an indication that the market is going to be red today. And as a result, I wasn't sure. I mean, they had already started coming down at that point, so I didn't look into it. I charted all of these. DKNG was one I was really looking at because of its bullish run yesterday, and then BA as well. I actually got the call to chart BA. Actually, what's interesting is, and this is just something I want to note, is what's interesting is because I know Carmine doesn't chart his zones in pre-market. I do. I do, and I've noticed the effect of that. So, for instance, now this is a 15-minute zone. I'm actually surprised. Oh yeah, I charted it from here. Yeah. But I chart it based on a pullback more than anything. So if you notice, BA has rallied all the way up to the same zone again, pegged this zone, and it's rejected. So this would have been a really good trade on Boeing, especially as you have this demand area, which came from yesterday's demand. So had I been looking at this in that regard, this would have been a really, really good trade from here all the way up to here. Excuse me. I just want to review what actually happened. Initially, when I was looking at this, I had charted this like this. But I did not take it because, again, this is the demand area. And again, it's a question of stops. I wasn't too convinced with this because of what happened yesterday with Tesla. I realized that if I just jump into it, there's a chance I may have charted it wrongly. So I left it alone. And in actual fact, as you can see, this is the actual wedge itself. So I like this jump from demand. I'm still not confident in taking a trade from this area as I would love to, because obviously you have a tighter stop and you have a lot more in the run up. I'm taking it over here means that I've got to put my stop over here, which is less in terms of what you would actually get. But over here gives you a much, much tighter stop, which is the whole point, I guess. All right, so on to the trades. My first trade was on Etsy. And the reason why I chose Etsy was because Again, it had this bullish run from yesterday all the way up, and we had a demand area that was created. So it started to wedge, and when it broke the wedge, I actually got in at the top. I wanted to get in here, but I wasn't convinced with the trade for some weird reason. And I think it was just because of how quickly it got out. I was expecting it to form a tighter wedge, but it worked, but I wasn't very, very convinced with the entire thing. Excuse me. If I look at this on the 5 minute, let me just get a sense of, okay, so we have wicks. So this should have been good conviction to take this long, but I wasn't really sure. I wasn't so convinced. I jumped in with 10 contracts at first, and then jumped in with 10 more. So I had 20 contracts when I traded this. And I did it from here, got a few out as I was going up and started scaling out. I noticed, I think the spreads are very wide because we had moved quite a bit, but they're not too bad. 40 cents, 60 cents. We have moved quite a bit by the time I got out. So I think I got like $600 or $645 on that trade. With the remaining buy power that I had, I decided to trade Snap. And Snap was coming out of supply. And then I got in when it broke this level, and I got out just over at this point. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put my arrows green for entry. So this was kind of my entry there. Turn this around, edit properties to the right, green. And then I got most of it out here. I can't remember how many. I think I had 15 contracts in the end. But yeah, that was all I could get at that point. Activate. And I got out just around here. And then for Etsy, I got in just at the top here. I mean, I was watching it, I just didn't have the conviction. And I think that's the problem sometimes when it's difficult to work out your stops when you're trading options. And then I got them out just over there. So it was a really, really quick scalp, which essentially is what I've been doing recently. But using supply and demand. I'd rather scalp based on, something like this. But as you can see, it's very difficult to judge the trade. Really, if I could, and I wish I did, I wish I took this all the way up to the top and tested high of day. But I think what really bothered me was when I saw how the price action was going, and obviously you can see an increase in volume of the buyers, I thought this would form this sort of wedge, which is a very bearish, and of course it failed. So this would have scared me. And again, the issue is, one would say maybe it's because I'm trading on a lower time frame. I should really trade on the 5-minute time frame, in which case the patterns are completely different. But anyway, all in all, I'm still happy with this trade for what I was trying to achieve with it. I wish it could have been more, but it's what it is. Tesla I looked at as well, and this is another thing again. I started using dotted lines to mark demand and supply areas in pre-market. So as you can see with Tesla, it's responded to this area. And on the 1-minute chart, if we have a closer look at it, we can see this would have been a valid entry, or even this could have been a valid entry. But you see, this is the problem. It's like, I would only take this when I see this break, when this trend is broken. over here, it seemed like it was broken initially because this line, if it touched this, would have come out of here and this would have been out. And then you can see this sort of slow change. It's always very difficult to kind of know where you want to get in. You have a Head and Shoulders here, by the way. And so sometimes you just have to wait and watch what is going on. I think on the 5 minute, things are a lot clearer as well, because now you have, let's actually just move this here. Yeah, on the 5 minute, things are a lot clearer, but it's always difficult to kind of decide what you are going to do. I think if ever I'm going to play this strategy of, what I call the red to green, I would have to do this on the 5 minute, definitely, and just watch the 1 minute. But it's always very, very difficult figuring it out. It's also good kind of knowing that this is your area of demand. Yeah, this is really, really cool. Yeah, no, I can't take any more trades. It's just so cool seeing how the price is now rising based on this strategy, which is working pretty well. Apple was one I really wanted to trade today, and the reason being that I noticed the contracts are so cheap. You only for this you get what, 150. The spreads are so beautiful, like just $3, 3 cent spreads, 2 cent spreads. So if you had, and if you played 1,000 20 contracts, that would only cost you, well, one contract will cost you 150 or $155 times 20 is just slightly over 2,500 or something. If I can just do a quick calculation, sorry. So that's what, 157 times 20. Oh, it's 3,000, sorry. Yeah, $3,000. I feel like for $3,000 with that, you can take a really good trade with this, like all the way here, and that's $500 already. But that is a really, really good deal on the cost of the contract. You're only spending $3,000 on a trade for 1,000 shares. Of course, Apple, as I look at the ES, there is this area of supply that is in the way at the moment, and Apple is very, very sensitive to ES. So as it is right now, it looks like Apple may still be going down, but maybe we may have a retest here and then more upside. But the candles look very strong on the downside. Well, there you go. And it has, I think it's almost broken low of day. At least it's tested it. So it looks like Apple is on a downtrend today. So if one was trading Apple, one should look to play shorts as opposed to longs. Yeah, look at that. You can see it's already broken, and it's broken it based from this area. So there is a chance we may see more downside, and this would obviously affect what's happening with Apple. It's kind of happening with Tesla, but not in the same way. DKNG, did I talk about DKNG? Initially, I wanted to get into DKNG when it broke this, but as you can see, it's still wedging, and DKNG has this bad habit of going sideways a lot. I find that it just chops around so much that when it's not rallying, it's just a chop fest. Like, look at this. I mean, maybe you might have a wedge form, but I have traded this before, and in my experience, it's only good if you're scalping it with shares, not with options. I mean, coming all the way from here to here, actually, that was $1. That's not bad, but it is a scalp fest. There isn't much you can get out of it, and as a result, it's just kind of going between supply and demand imbalances. So I will not trade this right now, at least not today. All right, so those are the four that I was looking at. I think I've talked about Apple, Yes, we talked about Apple, talked about DKNG, Tesla, Snap, and then, yep, Snap looks like it still has a lot of room for the downside. And yeah, this wedge clearly is not valid, so we can remove this. This is more what we are looking at right now. It looks like it has room to go downside. So if I were still trading this, I would play puts on this. But of course I'm not. What else again did we talk about? SPY, BA, what is happening with BA? Yeah, same thing. All right. All right, then, that's it. Clearly there's some supply region over here, which is why it's falling. All right, there we go. And that's pretty much all I have for today. We'll come back here again tomorrow.